The year is 982. A fiery-tempered Viking is banished from Iceland. Far from breaking his spirit, this exile ignites the most daring adventure and kicks off the Norse colonization of a new land. The Viking is Eric the Red, known today as the first European to successfully settle the largest island on Earth, Greenland. Eric's story starts thousands of miles away. He was born around 950 AD in Norway. He lived there until the age of 10, when his family was exiled to Iceland after his father was accused of manslaughter. In the following years, Eric also found himself banished twice, similar to his father before him. According to the sagas, his own troubles started when Eric's serfs caused a landslide on a neighbor's property, leading to conflict and retaliations. This sparked a series of feuds, with Eric escalating the violence. As a result, he was declared an outlaw by the local assembly, forcing him out of their community. Relocated on a remote island, he caused trouble again, and this time he was asked to leave Iceland for 3 years, or face death. Growing up in Iceland, he no doubt heard stories about an uninhabited land to the west, across the sea, discovered by seafaring merchants blown off course. With nowhere else to go, Eric the Red, a resourceful Northman in his 30s, decided to put his exile to good use. He also convinced some of the people he was banished with to join him in his westward expedition. After a long and perilous voyage, he found a vast, icy landmass, and he first settled on its outskirts, then gradually moved inland and studied living conditions in different locations throughout his 3 years' exile. Most of the land he discovered was rugged and unforgiving, yet he found one good enough location and nimbly used it to describe the whole land as Greenland, hoping the appealing name would attract settlers. Eric returned to Iceland with tales of Greenland's fertile land, capable of supporting thriving communities. His PR stunt worked, and he persuaded many to join him in a new venture. In 985 AD, Eric led a fleet of 25 ships to Greenland, though only 14 arrived safely after the challenging journey. The first settlement was established in Brattahlid, Eric's chosen home, where he planned the community layout. Considering Greenland standards, this location was premium real estate. The settlers brought livestock, seeds, and tools necessary for a new life, aiming for self-sufficiency. They worked tirelessly to build homes, barns, and storage facilities, using the limited resources available. Wood was scarce, so they built robust houses from turf and stone, resilient against the cold. The small community's endurance was tested as they faced their first harsh winter. Their survival meant settlement was possible, and new families soon arrived. According to Nordic tradition, inheritance law at the time favored the firstborn son. When land in Scandinavia could no longer sustain the growing population, the only alternative for younger siblings was to build their own property elsewhere. This explains why Greenland became popular, in spite of its unforgiving features. The most suitable climate was around the southwestern tip of the island, where Eric founded the largest settlement. Communities were built around farms with large pastures around them. There was a second, smaller settlement further north, along the western coast. Conditions were worse here, and settlers relied more on fishing and hunting. Where agriculture was possible, techniques were adapted to the harsh environment, focusing on hardy crops like barley and grazing animals, like sheep and goats, although some settlers had cattle too. To survive the long winters, they also developed methods to preserve food, such as drying fish and fermenting milk to create skyr. Shipbuilding was limited due to lack of necessary resources, but existing ships allowed the Norse to fish, trade, and maintain contact with Iceland and Europe. Despite all challenges, the settlement flourished, growing in population and strength as more settlers arrived. The Greenlandic Althing, a local assembly, played a crucial role in governance, resolving disputes, and organizing communal efforts. Cultural practices, including storytelling, crafting, and music, were integral to the community, helping maintain their Norse way of life. Eric's family maintained strong ties to both the Old Norse pagan traditions and the new Christian faith, reflecting the cultural shifts of the time. His wife, Thorhild, was influential in introducing Christianity to the settlement, building the first church in Brattahlid, despite Eric's initial resistance. While Eric kept his faith in the Old Norse gods, He eventually saw the benefits of allowing Christians to build churches, some of the most sturdy structures in Greenland. Churches and monasteries gradually became central to community life, blending old and new traditions and serving as places of learning and refuge. Some settlers soon began venturing outside the relative safety of their communities. Eric's children, inspired by their father's adventures, continued to explore and expand Norse influence in the Atlantic. His son, Leif Erikson, embarked on his own voyage further west to North America, discovering new lands. He's recognized as the first European to intentionally reach the New World, almost 500 years before Columbus. According to the sagas, Eric wanted to join his son, but he fell off his horse on the way to the ship and took this as a bad sign, leaving Leif to continue without him. Eric met his end in an epidemic that took many of the colonists in the winter after his son's departure. He was in his early 50s and already a legend among his people. In spite of this loss, the settlements continued their expansion as new waves of people arrived from Iceland over the next 400 years. This influx gradually strained the land's ability to maintain a thriving population. But this was not their only concern. As soon as they settled, the Norse encountered the indigenous Inuit, leading to both trade and conflict as they navigated their coexistence. Initial encounters were marked by curiosity and cautious exchanges, with the Norse trading metal tools for Inuit furs and ivory. Cultural exchanges included sharing hunting techniques and survival skills, which were crucial for both communities. Over time, tensions arose, leading to conflicts that sometimes turned violent, straining relations between the groups. To keep themselves going, the Greenland Norse relied heavily on established trade routes with Iceland and Europe, exchanging goods like walrus ivory, narwhal tusks, furs, skins, and even living animals like Arctic falcons. In return, they acquired goods not available in Greenland, such as timber and iron. Europeans were especially interested in walrus ivory. This need prompted regular trading ships to navigate between Greenland and Norway to satisfy the ever-increasing demand of goods. The constant exchange created a false sense of sustainability, which eventually led to the settlement's decline. Without their knowing, the first settlers arrived during the medieval warm period, a time of unusually high temperatures which favored better living conditions in Greenland. This lasted from Eric's landing around the year 1000 until the late 1200s. Unfortunately for the Greenland Norse, a cooling period started around the year 1300. Known as the Little Ice Age, this climate change severely impacted the Norse way of life, reducing agricultural yields. The once flourishing settlements began to struggle, facing food shortages and increasingly harsh winters that tested their resilience. Communication with Iceland and Europe became increasingly difficult as conditions worsened, isolating the inhabitants. Furthermore, Europeans were less interested in walrus ivory. As African elephant ivory became more accessible, this change drastically reduced Greenland's economic relevance and the number of ships willing to take the long and risky voyage. By the 15th century, the Norse settlements were abandoned, leaving behind only ruins. Other theories about the settlers' ultimate disappearance range from epidemics to possible conflicts with the Inuit, each adding to the intrigue. It's also very likely that some of the younger population migrated back to Iceland or Scandinavia, leaving others behind. Several expeditions were organized in the centuries that followed, looking for survivors or solid evidence of what might have happened. They found no one alive and no clear indications of their fate. More recent archaeological discoveries, such as tools and remnants of buildings, provide only glimpses into their daily struggles and resilience. In 1721, Danish-Norwegian missionary Hans Egede established a mission in Greenland. He was initially seeking to find any remaining Norse settlers, but focused on converting the Inuit instead. This marked the beginning of renewed interest and eventual colonization by Denmark. In 1953, Greenland was incorporated into the Kingdom of Denmark as an equal part, ending its colonial status. The territory attained home rule in 1979 and further autonomy in 2009, although it remains part of the Kingdom of Denmark. The majority of Greenland's population today are Inuit, descendants of the culture that migrated from Alaska around the 13th century. The Norse settlements established by Eric the Red have little to no impact on the genetic makeup of modern Greenlandic population. However, their half-a-century hold over this harsh territory is forever ingrained in the story of Greenland, and the island keeps the name it was given by Eric himself. Thanks for joining us on this epic journey through the saga of Eric the Red and the Norse settlements in Greenland. What do you think happened to the settlers? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more adventures. You can keep rolling the reel of time by watching these other videos. See you next time.